Hey everyone, this is a video about the nitty-gritty of putting on a luxury picnic. This is part of my luxury picnic video series where I go over all things needed to know about running a luxury picnic company. This is probably my most content-filled video yet. I've got it to the brim with tips and tricks and information that you need to know for the logistics of actually putting on a picnic. What does it take and what does it look like? So stay tuned because we're gonna dive in and cover everything that you need to know. Okay, so I've got the content of this video laid out in 3 segments. The first segment being before the picnic, just the preparation for that, and then the travel and the setup of the actual picnic, and then just other helpful tips and tricks that are pertinent that you would need to know. First things first, before the picnic. When a picnic is requested, we have a client fill out a form online, and on this form they put down if they want a special message written on the chalkboard that we have. They also put down their design preferences. We have different types of decor and furniture. For instance, we have stuff that is a little more modern in taste and some stuff that's a little more boho. And the client gets to put down exactly what they want. It's also a place for them to put special requests that they have. For instance, will they be adding on any of our additional items that we have for an extra charge? Or do they have any special customizations or requests that they have as well? Once the client fills out this form basically becomes our guide to setting up that picnic. We use it to know exactly what inventory we need to bring, how many dishes we need to bring, and everything that we're gonna be doing for that picnic. So it basically just guides us and leads us in the preparation for that specific picnic. Since we have them fill out that form online on our website, I just wanted to bring up a quick related side note that in addition to being a party, picnic, and event enthusiast, my wife is also an amazing graphic designer, and she's currently working on some website templates for specifically prepared for luxury picnic companies. We're gonna have them up for sale soon, and so when I do, I will add them into the link in the description of this video. So just be on the lookout for that. If you don't have a website or you wanna upgrade your website, I'm gonna have some good options for you on that pretty soon. Okay, so now at this point, we know exactly what the picnic is gonna require, what the clients are looking for. So on the day of the picnic, we try to load up most of the inventory into our car well ahead of time. We put pretty much all the big items in there, even some of the smaller items, just with the exception of a few specific items that we save for when we are actually about to leave. And those are mainly heat sensitive items like candles and obviously food that we're gonna be bringing. Those things we'll put in kind of last minute, so that way they're not just sitting out in the car and they can stay air conditioned the whole time. The inventory can take a decent amount of space, and so if it's your first time doing a picnic, it's a really good idea to prepare ahead of time and practice with a few runs of the best way to load up your inventory in your vehicle. Because in addition to taking up space, some of the items might be breakable and a little more delicate, so you're probably gonna have to plastic wrap a few of those and figure out how to just keep some of them more protected. And that's especially true if you are gonna be going on bumpy roads, which is very possible because a lot of people like to have picnics in kind of remote places. And speaking from experience, that can lead to some bumpy conditions that don't pair well with fine china and other dinnerware and glassware. Another thing I wanted to mention is that having a backup plan for the day of the picnic is always a good idea. You never know if you're suddenly gonna have car troubles, if you're gonna get a flat tire, or maybe it's a big event and you didn't quite plan well enough and the stuff isn't fitting inside of your vehicle like you expected it to. In a situation like that, a really good backup plan is to rent a small U-Haul. They're usually pretty affordable when they're available, and they obviously have plenty of room. They can handle most roads, and it's just a good option to carry your stuff as a backup plan. In fact, we know some people who basically use that as their every event plan. They always rent the U-Haul, and they just kind of have the pricing of that baked into their cost of the picnic or the event that they're doing. So keep that in mind if you are having car troubles or just want a good backup option if you're a super planner and preparer. And on that note, I'll just mention that we personally have a minivan and they are of course super roomy. So that has provided us with more than enough space for just about every event we've done. Even our large dinner parties with full-size tables and 12 plus people, we've been able to fit that in our minivan. So if you're in the market for a new car, you might want to look into an option like that that has plenty of cargo space if you're looking at doing this seriously as a business for a while. Okay, let's move on to the travel and setup portion of preparing for a picnic. We like to have everything for the picnic set up on location and ready to go 30 minutes prior to the time of the event. Although this isn't completely necessary, we find that it just avoids a lot of stress and headaches because you never know if there's going to be an unforeseen time delay. Additionally, if the clients end up showing up early, it makes you look good if you're ready early because it's just a better experience for them. So being able to do this, to have it all ready early, requires you knowing how long it's going to take you to set up and how long it's going to take you to get there. As always, Google Maps is your friend for figuring out your ETA for arriving at the location. As far as the setup, it just takes some practice to know how long it's going to take you to set up. If it's just a small 2-person picnic, it really only takes one of us to about 10 minutes to set up the event. Obviously, the more people that are taking part in the picnic, the more inventory that requires and the more time that takes for setup. But another thing to consider actually is how far the location of the actual picnic is from where you can park your vehicle. This is something that you may not think of on your first time until you're doing it. So very important to know this ahead of time. Even if it's just a 3 or 4 minute walk from your vehicle to the picnic area, as opposed to just being right next to your car, that really adds up when you're taking 3 or 4 trips carrying heavy things. And I mean, that alone can add 15 or 20 minutes of prep time to get everything set up. In situations like that, it's best to have a foldable wagon like this one in order to be able to move the stuff efficiently and hopefully not break your back in the process. When we set up the picnic, once we have the exact location picked out and staked out, we will send a message to the clients with a pin, like a Google Maps pin of the location, so that way they can know exactly where it's at. Do this as soon as you get the location picked out, because sometimes you get busy with the setup and you realize, oh, they've texted me a couple times in the last few minutes asking where it's at, and it just looks so much better if you can proactively send them that location first before they have to ask a few times. If you haven't been to the location before, or if it's a park with multiple viable spots, you're going to want to go extra early so that you can search out and claim the best available spot for that picnic. It's always a good idea to bring a rug with you so that your inventory and the clients aren't sitting directly on the ground. Additionally, you're going to want to bring a wastebasket and a few extra plastic bags. That way you have a place to dispose of all the leftover food and also a place to put all the dirty dishes once the picnic is over. Some people wonder if it's better to stick around to be there when the clients show up, or whether it's better to be gone so they can show up in privacy. We personally have found that we believe it's best to be there to briefly greet the clients. We basically use it as an opportunity to quickly answer any questions that they have. We'll explain everything we have there for them. For instance, in our basket, we keep a speaker and some paper towels and some insect repellent, and we'll let them know about that. Just some of those nice extra touches. We will then also use it as an opportunity to tell them this important note, and that is the time that we will be back. And then we ask them that if they are done before that time, to please message us, and we can be back in 10 to 15 minutes, but stick around just to make sure that the inventory is safe so we don't leave that alone. Typically, the only reason we would stick around after that is for a photo. We usually offer one complimentary photo to them because anybody doing a luxury picnic, they almost always want a photo to commemorate the opportunity. If they want like a full-blown photo shoot that requires us sticking around longer and editing more photos, that's considered an add-on, and we do charge extra for that. That would be typically the only reason that we stick around for longer than a couple minutes after they get there, because we want them to be able to enjoy their picnic in privacy. That pretty much covers it for the travel and the setup, but now I just kind of want to go over some other important things to consider when it comes to the logistics of putting on a luxury picnic. If you are doing a larger event, make sure you hire enough hands to help you. Going from 2 people to 6 people to 8 people adds quite a bit more work, maybe even more than you would think it does. Just adding in that extra inventory that you're going to have to carry, it takes more time than you would think, and it tires you out quite a bit. It's better just to make sure you have enough hands on deck, so that way you don't compromise the experience for your clients. You can make sure you still have everything ready on time, and you're not suffering in your attention to detail because you were so rushed to get it all done. Make sure you charge enough for travel. This is an important one because you will get many requests for all sorts of different areas. We always like to make sure that we are making at least $25 an hour for just the travel time in addition to the picnic cost and in addition to being compensated for the fuel cost. My number one advice I could give on this would be to create a map and have that prepared ahead of time that you advertise that shows your service boundaries, and anything inside of that service boundary is the standard pricing, and then have a few places that you know are popular outside of that service boundary with preset charges of this is how much it costs additionally if you want to go to there. Having that ready ahead of time will save you from the time of custom quoting things over and over again, and your clients, your customers, will appreciate it as well because they love it when they can just get all the information that they want upfront on your website or your social media without having to ask a question that doesn't necessarily need to be asked. While talking about pricing, I think it's important to have a minimum price that you don't go under. So your most basic picnic package costs X amount, and no event that you do will be less than that. Even if they want to have you bring less inventory or do less than that, you got to have your minimum bar so that you make sure you're never doing an event or a picnic or anything else that's not worth your time, because your time is valuable. And if you're doing one for less than that, well, they're taking up a spot where a full paying customer could have booked that spot. So keep on your minimum. Remember that you're providing a valuable service and you don't need to go less than that. The only reason you might need to go less than that is if you find that your pricing isn't in line with the market. But if you're getting customers, stick to your guns on what your minimum pricing is. Final thing I want to mention, have a contract. The contract can have different stipulations, but one of the important things is that they need to pay for any repairs to damages or any replacements of products. That's important. Make them sign that. You can require a deposit out of them if you want. That could turn away customers. It's up to you if you want to do that. We don't typically do that for lower cost picnics, but on our bigger custom events, we'll have a deposit required. So totally up to you on what you want to do for that. That's pretty much all I've got for you today. I know I threw a lot out at you. If you have any questions, please let me know. I'll be happy to answer them. If you have questions that you want me to dive into a bunch more in more detail, then let me know and I can do a video on whatever that topic is that you have a question about. Once again, just want to remind you, as I mentioned earlier in the video, I'm going to have some picnic website templates up soon for sale. So if you're interested in that, please come back and check the description for when I update that with the link to it. I have some good videos coming up soon, so please consider subscribing to see that. If you found this video valuable, I would greatly appreciate you giving it a like, and thank you so much for supporting the channel and watching this video. See you next time.